Let's talk about one of the most maddening parts of being human. Why do we do the things we do? Especially when we've made a rock-solid decision to do the exact opposite. It's frustrating, right? Well, it turns out there's a fascinating map to explain it all. Have you ever done this? You make this big promise to yourself. Something like, okay, that's it. Starting tomorrow, I'm waking up at 6 a.m. Or this is the week I finally get focused. No more wasting time on my phone. And here's the crazy part. You were 100% serious. You felt it, that rush of motivation, of real commitment. But then, the alarm goes off. And almost like you're a passenger in your own body, your hand shoots out and hits snooze. And just like that, you're back in the very same loop you swore you would break. And that's when you start asking yourself those really annoying questions. Why am I like this? Why can't I just control myself? It honestly feels like there are two different people living inside your head, and you're not the one calling the shots. Well, the famous psychologist Sigmund Freud had a pretty radical answer to this. He basically said, you're right. You're not in control of most of your actions, your decisions, or even your big emotions. He argued that they're all being driven by something hidden, a part of your mind you don't even know is there. So to explain this whole idea, Freud came up with this single powerful metaphor that pretty much changed psychology forever. He said the human mind is just like an iceberg. Think about an iceberg. You only see that little tip sticking out of the water, right? Well, that's your conscious mind. It's everything you're aware of in this exact moment, your thoughts, your feelings. But the real story, the biggest, most powerful part, is the huge mass of ice hidden deep under the water. And that, my friends, is the unconscious. So what in the world is down there in the dark? Well, it's all the stuff we've shoved away. Our hidden fears, our deepest and sometimes darkest desires, painful memories we'd rather forget, traumas from our childhood, feelings of shame and anger. Basically, every emotion we've been taught is unacceptable. And these things, they aren't just sitting there quietly. They are the powerful, invisible currents that are secretly steering your ship. But wait, it gets even more complicated. Freud didn't just see the unconscious as a storage locker. He saw it as a constant battleground. He said our entire personality is basically made up of three competing parts, and each one wants something different. So yeah, forget about inner peace for a second. According to Freud, there is a constant war raging inside every single one of us. It's a three-way tug-of-war between our raw animal desires, our strict sense of right and wrong, and the cold, hard facts of reality. And all that anxiety we feel, Freud believed it comes directly from this never-ending conflict. So let's meet the three warring voices in your head. First, you've got the id. This is the wild child, the toddler inside you. It runs on pure pleasure and screams, I want it and I want it now, with zero thought about consequences. Then, you have the superego. This is the super strict moral judge, like an internalized parent, always wagging its finger and saying, you should not do that. And who's caught in the middle? The ego. The poor ego is the manager, the part you think of as you, just trying to find a realistic compromise to keep the id happy without getting you into a world of trouble with the superego. Okay, so with this constant war going on inside, how do we even manage to get out of bed in the morning? How does the ego handle all this stress? Well, Freud said it develops a whole set of really clever automatic tricks to protect us from ourselves. He called them defense mechanisms. And the most important thing to get here is that they are totally unconscious. You don't decide to use them, they just happen. In a way, your own mind lies to you, but it does it to protect you from emotional pain. Let's look at a few of the big ones. First up is projection. This is when you take a feeling or a quality that you have, but you just can't accept it in yourself, so you pin it on someone else. So, for instance, a person who is maybe not so honest themselves might constantly complain that everyone is trying to cheat me. They're literally projecting their own untrustworthiness onto the world so they don't have to face it themselves. Then there's denial. This one is probably the most famous. It's when you just flat out refuse to accept reality because the truth is just too painful to handle. The classic example, of course, is an addict who, even when their life is falling apart, will insist, I don't have a problem, I can quit anytime I want. Their mind is building a wall to protect them from a devastating reality. And finally, let's talk about displacement. This happens when you have a really strong feeling about someone, like anger, but it's not safe to show it. So you unconsciously redirect that emotion onto a safer, less threatening target. This one is classic. Your boss just humiliates you in a meeting.
You can't scream at your boss, right? You get fired. So you swallow it, you bottle it up, you go home, and then you just explode at your partner or your kids because they left a dish in the sink. You've displaced that anger from your boss onto a much safer target.
Now, look, a lot of Freud's specific theories have been challenged and updated over the years, but his core ideas, they were so earth-shattering that they completely changed the way we think about who we are. I mean, he gave us these incredibly powerful lenses to see ourselves through. The idea that the unconscious mind is a real thing, that so much of our behavior is driven by inner conflict, that our childhood experiences shape us as adults, that we all use these defense mechanisms to cope. And maybe the biggest one of all, that we are not the perfectly rational creatures we like to think we are.
Seriously, just think about it. When you talk about someone being in denial or projecting their insecurities or having an inner conflict, that's all Freud. His ideas are so baked into our culture that we use his language every single day without even realizing where it came from.
Which, of course, brings us right back to where we started. If all this stuff is unconscious, if we're being jerked around by these hidden forces, then what hope do we have? How do we ever actually get up early when the alarm rings? And this, right here, is the most powerful takeaway from all of Freud's work. You cannot change what you cannot see. The first step, really the only first step, is awareness. Simply understanding that these hidden forces exist inside you, learning to spot your own defense mechanisms in action, seeing the patterns that started in your past, that is how you start to take the steering wheel back. Awareness is the flashlight you shine into the deep, dark parts of your own iceberg. And that right there is the beginning of everything.